We are now in module 4. We're going to assume that you finally hit that 20K threshold. Fidelity is going to allow you to create a level 3 options account. And this is your first wealth milestone. It's not your first, actually. I'm going to put your third. And the reason why is because I think your first is definitely increasing and making the most of your main thing, of the main gig. The second one would be actually starting the process and the system of paying yourself first automatically. And then this is the third wealth milestone, and that is getting to 20K in your brokerage account. All right, guys, I'm going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to get started on this. All right, guys, I'm back. Thanks for the little break. Needed it. All right, let's get into it, man. Y'all ready? Can I get some fire emojis? Ready for module 4? Let's get into it. And a lot of this stuff, guys, is going to be a refresher for me. I just kind of do it now. I just kind of do my thing, and I invest where I can. So bear with me if I need refreshers myself. I don't claim to be, an expert by any means, but I'm willing to share what I know. You know what I mean? So, all right, let's get into it. I need some fire emojis though. Yeah, they're here. Let's get it. Here we go. So module 4. Module 4, the goal is to hit $20,000. This is your third wealth milestone. And the reason why this is the magic number is for level 3 options approval. That was the number that Fidelity required as a minimum account size in order to get approved for this. I don't know other brokerages. I've seen some that say 25. I've seen some like Tasty Trade that'll do like 10 or something like this. But level 3 gives you the ability to sell naked puts and covered calls. This is foundational for strategies to generate consistent cash flow. This is where the game changes. Selling options turns your portfolio into income-generating asset. Like, a lot of people think the only way to generate income is through dividends, right? Dividend stock investing. But no, you can generate income by selling options or selling covered calls. It's not just something you wait to grow. So with 20K, you can start generating weekly or monthly premiums, boosting your returns with proper risk management. Okay, here's an example. So selling one put on $100 stock, that's one contract. A put, look, there's two. Let me explain this to you guys. Where's my pencil? Oh, there we go. So there's puts and there's options, okay? Actually, let me see if let's pull up a video that'll explain this, because I'm not going to explain this as well as a video would that has visuals. Puts versus calls. Let's see if there's like a short video that we can watch here that'll explain it well. I think we can do an 8-minute video. Let's check it out. Let me see. And that's kind of boring. I'm looking for something really good. Looking for something amazing. Man, that's a long ass video. All right, I guess we'll go with this one.
Okay, first, to demonstrate how call options work, I'm going to tell you a little story. And by the way, if calls and puts are old hat to you, then you've already got a leg up. So the method I'm going to teach you afterward will be even easier for you to apply with options. Okay, here we go. So Susie's selling her house for $500,000 in a neighborhood that has a nearby parcel of land that is for sale as well. There are two parties interested in the land. Peter plans to develop the land into a beautiful park and bird sanctuary. And Harry plans to build a low-cost housing development. Now, Sammy comes along and is interested in buying Susie's house for a cash deal. But he has a problem. He won't have the cash available for 3 months. So he's of course worried that the house will be sold to someone else in the meantime. So he decides to offer Susie $5,000, or the option premium, right now, if she'll take the house off the market and give him the option.
Guys, if any of you are familiar with wholesaling real estate, wholesaling houses, this is almost the same thing. But it's much easier. You don't have to call a bunch of people. You don't have to try to convince somebody to learn something that they don't know, they think is a scam. All of this can be done with click of buttons on your phone or on your laptop. It's literally that, okay? So remember, if he was wholesaling this house, okay, he would be trying to get a contract with this lady, not to give her $500,000 for the house, but I'll give you $5,000 to give me the right to sell this house for $500,000. So I'm going to put the house under contract for $5,000, and then I'm going to go find an investor that'll give me the 500 grand. Except what wholesalers do is he might sell this house for $550,000 and make a $50,000 profit on the 5K that he invested. Hopefully does that make sense to you guys? So that's what wholesaling real estate is. They're using this as an analogy to explain stock options. Let's continue.
This would be a call option to buy the house for $500,000, which is referred to as the strike price, anytime within the next 3 months, which is the expiration date. Now, if he does not elect to buy the house, Susie keeps the $5,000 premium and Sammy walks away from the deal. If he does elect to buy the house or exercise the option, Susie still gets to keep the $5,000 and he pays her $500,000 for the house. Now, 3 things could happen in this story. In scenario 1, Peter buys the nearby parcel of land. This, of course, will increase the value of Susie's home to, say, $600,000, in which case Sammy will be very happy to exercise his option to buy the house for $500,000. In scenario 2, Harry buys the nearby parcel of land. This, of course, will decrease the value of Susie's home to, say, $400,000, in which case Sammy will not exercise his option to buy at $500,000, and he'll just walk away from the deal having lost only $5,000. Then there's scenario 3, where neither party buys the nearby parcel of land. Susie's house is still worth $500,000, and Sammy can elect to exercise his option to buy the house for $500,000 or not and simply walk away from the deal, losing only $5,000. In effect, Sammy is controlling a $500,000 asset for 3 months for only $5,000. No matter what happens during that time, the most he can lose is $5,000. Susie, on the other hand, is happy to take the $5,000 as she had no guarantee anyone else would buy the house at her asking price, nor did she feel the nearby parcel of land would sell anytime soon. Here's a footnote to the story. Depending on the circumstances, if Susie felt she was likely to attract another buyer in the near term, she would have demanded more than $5,000 from Sammy to take the house off the market for 3 months. Likewise, with call options, the more the underlying asset is perceived to appreciate, the higher the premium demanded by the market for that call option. So now let's define this in trading terms and look at an actual example trade. A call option is a contract between 2 parties to exchange a stock at a strike price by a predetermined date. One party, the buyer of the call, has the right but not an obligation to buy the stock at the strike price by the future date, while the other party, the seller of the call, has the obligation to sell the stock to the buyer at the strike price if the buyer exercises the option. For example, if a stock is trading at $50 and you think it's going to go up to $60, you might buy a $55 call option for, say, 20 cents. If the stock rose to $60, that would allow you to buy the stock at $55 even though it's valued at $60, netting you a $4.80 profit on each share. On the other hand, the person that sold you the call would be obligated to sell you the stock at $55 at a loss of $4.80. If the stock never rises above $55 by expiration date, the call expires worthless, and the call buyer is out 20 cents and the call seller keeps the 20 cents. Okay, now let's look at how put options work.
Now, it might be confusing a bunch of you guys, but that's okay. That's normal. It took me a while to understand how this works. Okay, if you got to watch 100 freaking videos on the description of what these options are, different types of options are, do it. It's okay. That's totally normal. All right. But for the sake of continuing, I'm just going to keep playing the video. So now that's call options, what he was talking about. These are put options. So there's calls and there's puts.
Work by revisiting Susie and Sammy from our earlier story. Sammy owns a truck worth $40,000. He's concerned that his truck might be damaged in an accident or even stolen. So Sammy decides to buy a zero-deductible insurance policy, or a put option.
Now, this is important to pay attention to because we're going to be selling insurance. That's how we're going to create cash flow, okay? We're going to be selling put options, and essentially that's like selling another investor insurance, okay? Because there's investors that, let's say they spent $100,000 on Tesla, but they're scared that the stock is going to fall. So they'll hedge their bet by buying insurance from another investor in case of that. We're going to do that. And I'm going to show you how to do it so that we can make consistent cash flow. Because the way insurance companies make money is they say, listen, I have 1,000 customers. Maybe 10% of them are going to actually have cars that break down that I got to go give them the money to fix. But the majority of them, their cars will not break down. So I'm going to be profitable at the end of the year. That's the same concept of what we're going to be doing. We're going to become the insurance company. All right, let's go.
On the truck,
I mean, who wouldn't want to be Geico or Allstate, right?
for the full amount of $40,000, which would be the strike price, from Susie's auto insurance company. Susie charges him $1,500.
Josue, we're gonna get there, but I gotta make sure I'm catering to everybody. We gotta catch everybody up.
That would be the option premium for a 1-year policy. 1 year being the expiration date. Now, 3 things could happen in this story. In the first scenario, Sammy's truck is not damaged or stolen during the year. So Susie keeps the $1,500 premium. Sammy's okay with losing the $1,500 for the protection it provided him for the year. In scenario 2, Sammy's truck is damaged in an accident, requiring $10,000 in repairs. He exercises his insurance policy, or his put option, by filing a claim, and Susie pays him $10,000 for the repairs as agreed. Sammy is happy he purchased protection for this possibility. In the third scenario, Sammy's truck is stolen. He exercises his insurance policy, which is his put option, and files a claim, but this time for the full replacement value of his truck. And Susie pays him the full amount of $40,000 to buy a new truck. Sammy, of course, is very happy he purchased protection for this possibility. In any case, Susie's happy because she sold many such insurance policies, different put options, to other drivers, most which never filed a claim or never exercised their options, providing her with a net profit overall. And here's a footnote to this story. If Sammy had a poor driving record, that's more a risk to Susie, so she would have charged him more than $1,500 for the 1-year insurance policy. On the other hand, if Sammy had an exemplary driving record, Susie could have charged him less, as the risk would be lower. Likewise, with put options, the higher the perceived risk, the higher the premium demanded by the market. Let's look again at a definition and a trading example. A put option, then, is a contract between two parties to exchange a stock, or an ETF, at a strike price by a predetermined date. One party, the buyer of the put, has the right but not an obligation to sell the stock at the strike price by the future date, while the other party, the seller of the put, has the obligation to buy the stock from the buyer at the strike price if the buyer exercises the option. For example, if a stock is trading at $50 and you think it's going to go down to $40, you might buy a $45 put option for, say, 20 cents. If the stock dropped to $40, that would allow you to sell the stock at $45 even though it's valued at $40, netting you a $4.80 profit on each share. On the other hand, the person that sold you the put would be obligated to buy the stock from you at $45 at a loss of $4.80. If the stock never drops below $45 by expiration date, the put expires worthless and the put buyer is out 20 cents and the put seller keeps the 20 cents. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. For more
Cool. And like I said, if you need more explanation than that, just keep YouTube, keep studying, ask ChatGPT. It'll help you understand how those works. What are call options? What are put options? You can buy and sell call options. You can buy and sell put options. All right. But for the sake of my strategy, I want to show you guys an example here. All right. So first and foremost, you need to know that one contract equals 100 shares. So if you're selling one put, which we'll be doing, that's selling insurance, then, and it's $100 stock, okay, or $100 strike price, you have to multiply that by 100, which means in order to, if you get assigned this, your brokerage account is going to want 100 times 100. They're going to want $10,000 in cash collateral. This is why you need 20K, because 20K gives you room to run 2 puts or ladder into trades while still staying diversified. Okay. So you'll be able to do 2 puts, you'll be able to have 2 puts open at once with 20K. This is why Fidelity makes you start with 20K. Okay. Because they want to make sure you have the collateral in your brokerage account that if this doesn't go your way, that you have the 20K or the 20K, the collateral to cover it. Okay. So let's break it down. Your weekly contributions, let's say it's $500 a week. That's $2,000 a month. Okay. Add compounding returns of 8 to 10% because of your base, right? And you'll cross 20K in 9 to 12 months if you stay consistent. If you want this to be faster, then you need to make this number higher. It's that simple. Okay. So to get there faster, we're going to increase our income. We're going to reduce our lifestyle inflation so that we can lock in even more weekly auto transfers. All right. Windfalls like bonuses, tax refunds, side hustle cash. Bro, let's do that stuff to spike our account when it makes sense. And then we're going to track our portfolio weekly to stay motivated. We're not cashing out. We're compounding. We're building our wealth. Okay. I want you guys to avoid fear of missing out. There's plenty of opportunity. You can always make money, regardless if it's a stagnant market, a declining market, or a bullish market. You can always make money. We're in this for the long term. There's no rush. Just make sure you're doing it right, because I don't want you getting in too early, and that's the reason why it's going to derail your compounding journey. Okay? Premature options trading without collateral is highly risky. They'll shut your account down. Chasing gains leads to emotional decisions and poor risk control. Okay? You have to stick to the system, and then you're going to celebrate small wins. Every 5K milestone is amazing. It's a victory, right? But once you build that 20K foundation, it gives you the foundation for options, and you can be strategic, and bro, that's a win-win. All right? So again, the fast track is weekly auto invest, extra lump sums, track your progress, avoid derailers. We got to apply for level 3. Once you have the 20K in there, we apply for level 3, and now we're ready to start selling puts. You guys ready to get into selling puts? All right, that's module 4, getting to that 20K. Let's get into selling puts next.